Life is a dance, and our job during our life is to find the location, learn the steps, and play the music. Today, we're going to learn how to find your purpose. And once you start to clear the clouds away and the sun begins to shine on your purpose, what do you do then? Let's go get that nugget. Welcome, ladies, to the Life Mastery for Women podcast. I'm Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind, your host. This is where we go to learn to master our life one nugget at a time. Let's take a moment, in this moment, to just call our energy back. Breathing in deeply together through the nose, holding it at the top just for a second, and then releasing. Just release the stress, release the worries, release the problems. Calling back our energy is closing all of the mental tabs that you have open of all the problems, the to-dos, the worries. Mentally picture those tabs open and mentally picture yourself clicking the X on every one of those tabs. As all those tabs are open, you have energy strands coming from your body going out to those tabs. And I want you to call all your energy back right now in this moment. Bringing back that energy right into your heart space. Feel your body filling back up with your attention and your presence. You can even put your hand on your heart, feeling the energy, breathing in deeply, feeling the support underneath you, giving yourself a present, a gift of your attention in this moment. Breathe in. Feel your feet on the floor, hold your breath at the top, and breathe out, and feeling your body sinking just a little bit deeper into the support underneath you. Hey guys, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you living your purpose. If you're not living your purpose, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. I do love talking about purpose because I know that there's this underlying current. I've been saying, I kind of like the sound of that and the visual of that there's this underlying current in your life that is kind of pushing you towards something. And if you're, 13 years old, you might not feel that current. You might not really recognize. But when you're, 35, 40, 50 years old, 60, by the time you have experienced life a little bit, you're older, you've done a few things, you've gone a few places, you've learned some stuff, that you start to there's kind of this path that I'm on. You start to feel into this path. And as you kind of start to wake up when you're 35, 40 years old, you start to wake up going, okay, am I in the right path? Or am I still trudging through the woods? And is my path starting to clear up a little bit? And somewhere right around here, which is called the midlife crisis, which I think is the AKA meaning for waking up. It's a waking up process. You start to evaluate your life. You start to look back and go, am I in the right relationship? Am I in the right location? Am I in the right job? Am I living the life that I want to live? And I have experienced, it's even less than a year, starting in May last year, 2023, and started to really pull in information from various areas. And I'm going to share some of these things with you, but pulling in information from these various areas to collect information about myself to kind of compare to what I feel like is my life experience and my life purpose. Now, nobody can tell you what your life purpose is. That is for you to uncover. And I think it's important that we as adults, people who are seeking change, people who are looking to expand in their life, and you're recognizing this current that is moving you forward, this ever pushing force that's behind you, that is keep going, right? Keep moving forward. And then we look and we turn around, we don't see the force, we look in front of us, we're like, go where though? Do what? What am I supposed to be doing? And I'm finding myself asking that question more and more. But I recognize that as I learn more about myself, that the path becomes a little bit clearer. And then when that happens, then what? What am I supposed to do? Now, this is where it becomes kind of creative and can be a little bit fun. And so I want to share those steps with you today. I think it's important that the majority of people find their path and get on it. Find your purpose, learn about yourself, put yourself in more areas where you are in alignment than when you're in discord. So many people are in jobs they hate, in relationships that are failing, and they just are not living the life that they want. And so they're miserable. They are with a machete in the woods, thick forest, beating trees and branches and going through the swamp with poisonous animals and bugs, and they're miserable versus they're just walking down this clear path. They don't need a machete. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. Those people are happy. They found their purpose, they found their path, and they're on it, right? So this is what I found out. Now, long time ago when I was in high school, we were doing like a job fair or something in high school, and we took the Meyers-Briggs personality test. Now, you might laugh at this, but I am finding these types of tests, there's several of them out there. These types of tests out there are really spotlighting my skills, my talents, and really making clear my purpose. So back in second grade, we're sitting in a circle. My teacher, Miss Burrow, we're all in a circle, and she goes, okay, we're going to be talking about careers and what do you want to do when you grow up? You know, the big question that everybody asks everybody, all teachers and students, or teachers and parents and whatever. And it came to me. She goes, Jennifer, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a teacher. And immediately, everyone back then, I mean, this was, 1977, probably 78, 79, something like that. Second grade. And a teacher. So and for every single year after that, that's all I wanted to do was be a teacher. When I would play at home, I would get all my stuffed animals together and set them on the bed, and I had a little clipboard, and I would take attendance, and I would teach. I had a little chalkboard, and I would teach them. I would teach them something. I'd read stories to them. I would teach them the weather, the days of the week, whatever. Math, algebra, depends on where I was in my life and what I knew. Anyway, well, even back then, as the second grader, probably, and I was so I was probably 7, and that's all I wanted to do. And you ask me now, I'm 51 years old. That's all I want to do is teach. Now, I did work in a school. I was a teacher. I liked it, but then I hated it because I hated the politics that are in our school systems across the country. And I'm not going to talk about schools here because it frustrates me how our schools are for our kids. But I did get to do it. And that's what I do. What do I do in my podcast? I teach. What do I do in my coaching programs? I teach. What do I do with pretty much everybody that I come in contact with? I teach. Now, what's the opposite of teaching? Learning. Okay. I'm just giving you this little preface because I think that it's so important as it relates to my life so much. I wanted to open doors for you. So back then, when I was probably a junior, maybe sophomore, we took the Myers-Briggs. I don't remember what I got back then, but I did retake it last year. I am an INFJ, so an introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. Now, what does that even mean? What does that do? Now, I'm not going into all the personality types, but it really opened the doors to understanding. Here's the thing, understanding more about me. So somebody would come up to me and be like, oh my God, you're totally extroverted. I'm like, no, I'm not. I look like I am, but I'm not. I act like it, but I'm not really. All that means is that I love alone time because it refuels me. I don't like to all of a sudden be with a bunch of people first thing in the morning. I don't like, I need that kind of quiet time. But actually, I would say I'm probably more like an ANFJ, which would be an ambivert, intuitive, feeling, judging. I'm not solely introverted. Both my stepdad and my biological dad, very, very introvert. They do not like to be around a lot of people. They don't talk very much. They're very quiet. I talk a bunch. Listen to me. I'm on a podcast, talking a bunch. So, and I'm on stage. I love being on stage. What am I doing? I'm a coach, right? So anyway, the point to that, the Myers-Briggs will give you a really nice snapshot about how you like to engage with the world, the things you do when you're under stress, the things you do when you're in balance, when you are like in harmony, and the the way that you take in information. It's a beautiful test. And so if you haven't done it, go to Google, type it in, go take the test. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is the Enneagram. The Enneagram, a very simple test. Though it's really hard to find one that is free. I do recommend it for the same reason. It gives you this great insight about how you think, how you act, what type you are when you're under stress, what type you are when you're in harmony. And I just love it because it gives me such great insight. There's another one. This one was created a little bit of a rabbit hole for me, but it was perfect for what I needed and free all over the place, is numerology. So a little bit like horoscope, but goes even deeper. There's several apps. Go to Google, type in numerology calculator, and you can type in your full name, your full birth name, your name at birth, full name, and your birthday. And it pops out all these numbers, and they're all different. Your life path number, your attitude number, what were some of them? There was a bunch. Your success number, your soul urge number, your personality number, your expression. There's tons of them in here. And did I say attitude? Yeah, that was a good one. Soul urge is basically your purpose. Your life path is your purpose. And this was a rabbit hole, but what I 100% loved about this is this not only gave me kind of my purpose, but it kind of lit up the path of things that I'm supposed to do. And it was kind of exciting because here's the thing. Over here, not knowing any of the results from this test, over here, I'm like, God, I think I'm supposed to be a teacher. That's all I ever talk about. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? What kind of teacher? I worked in this school. I went to college. I did all this stuff. I worked over here. I did this thing. I did this job. And then they just kind of didn't work out. And then all I want to do is learn, and all I want to do is dive into the personal development field. And then all I want to do is dive into the entrepreneurial leadership field. And then I have books and books and books, and I read constantly. Like I'm reading 3 books right now, and I just keep learning like crazy. Well, then when I learned about Meyers Briggs, and I learned about Enneagram, and then I did numerology, that's all it says. I'm a leader. I'm destined for great things. I am a spiritual teacher. I love to teach. I love to learn. I love to communicate. I'm highly intuitive. All of these things where I'm like, oh my God, that totally is me, right? It was so accurate. Now, when I learned this stuff and I made myself a chart, because that's what I do. That's what INFJs do. I made myself a chart and I put all of these test results around this circle, and there's a circle in the middle. And so I kind of made these sections around the circle on this big piece of paper, and I wrote INFJ, and I wrote I'm an Enneagram number 8, the challenger, and I did the numerology. I'm a number 11. When if you dive into numerology, number 11 is a master number. Huge responsibility for someone on the planet, but it matches me perfectly. Then I did what's called a human design, which that's a major rabbit hole. I went down pretty far in this over the last probably 5 years. I can't teach it because I really was just taking it in to learn about myself, which is what I recommend you do. And I'm a manifesting generator with a 1-3 number line, which is basically a researcher and discoverer. So I'm like, oh my God, it's the same thing. Learn, teach, learn, teach, learn, teach. And in the spiritual field. Then I did what's called wealth dynamics. This one is, I would say, if you're an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, wealth dynamics is a really, really great one to get. You can take the free test at Genius U, and it's just Genius with the letter U, like geniusuniversity.com. Sign in. It's all free. You can take all these tests, take all these courses. If you love learning, you're going to love Genius U. You can take the Wealth Dynamics test for free. If you want to really get the breakdown, which I would also highly recommend, it's $97 to take the test, Wealth Dynamics. You can do wealthdynamics.com or go to geniusu.com, and then, it prompts you and wants you to pay for it. But you get some major, major insight. Anyway, this will give you your type as an entrepreneur, which I'm a creator type, 72%, which is why I love my podcast. I just love talking. I love sharing. I love learning over here in my free time. And then over here, I love teaching. That's all I ever want to do. Well, when it comes to building a business, if you are an entrepreneur, you know, you need more than just the teaching and just the love of learning. Like, you need to market. You need to have the behind the scenes taxes and your budget and the systems, especially if you're online, all the systems behind the scenes of how you're going to bring the teaching to people and how they're going to consume your knowledge. It's a lot, right? Again, I'm not going into all of these. I will mention them again. So if you're writing these tests down, I will mention them again at the end. And actually, I'll put the links in the show notes as well, so you can go and find. You can go and click on them and find those tests. So now, what does all this mean? So when I had this piece of paper and I wrote in the circle, I took all of this information and I said, oh, yeah, that is totally me. I'm a leader. I'm confident and decisive, not indecisive, and decisive, entrepreneurial, spiritual teacher, loves learning, highly supportive, highly intuitive. And I wrote all these things down in the circle in the middle. Okay, now that's me. That is my purpose, my path, my destiny, all right here. And all of these tests confirmed the same thing because all of them said the same thing. And this was 5 different tests. Now, of course, I'm a Virgo. There's some of that in there. I don't get into horoscope much. But the other part is intuitively. As someone who's been on the planet for 51 years, this stuff was not new. This stuff was not new information. But what it did is it built this foundation of confidence that now I'm like, I agree with that statement. And all of these things all point to the same thing. So I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's kind of like having the light at the end of the tunnel, like you're walking from here to California and they're like, okay, I'm in Michigan, by the way. You're in Ohio. Keep going. Well, if I'm in Ohio, I'm going the wrong way. You're in Illinois. Okay, keep going. You're in let's say, you're in Nevada. You're in Colorado. Keep going. You're almost there. Don't stop. Keep going. That's what it feels like to me. That I feel like gathering all this information, not only did it light up the path, but it's giving me the things to learn along the way, and it's giving me the direction to walk. It's like having the GPS, but you can have GPS all day, but if you don't put in your destination, you can walk around your whole entire life and never get to where you are fulfilled. My plan on this planet is to be fulfilled, is to find love in the joy of living. And that's what I want. And that's what I want for you. So I would highly recommend you go and take these tests. And I would highly recommend that you take notes on the things that kind of like the highlights of all of these things. You could do whatever you want as far as this information goes. But I just found it to be so valuable and so insightful. And it really built this level of confidence in me to say, yeah, I agree with that. I'm here. You're right. You know, you read through this and you're like, oh, that's me. That's totally me. And now you believe it. And it creates this level of confidence. So now you get to this place, you get these things, you're, okay, these are my skills, these are my talents, these are my levels of interest. Okay, so this is easy for me. Now what? Now what do I do? Because now that's where I'm standing. I'm looking at the circle. I'm looking at all the results from this test. I'm agreeing with it. I have confidence. Okay, I'm on the path. The path is lit up. Now what do I do? This is where you create the dream. You take all of those pieces that have come together. If you were to read all of those charts, you would say, oh gosh, Jen. And let's say I had a job that I've had, or a career, and I've had it for 30 years and I'm completely miserable. You'd be like, okay, as you read this, you'd be like, dude, you probably should be an entrepreneur. And what if I never thought of that? And Jen, you probably should maybe be a coach or a teacher, because there's like coach, consultant, spiritual teacher, spiritual leader, all of those things were in there. You probably should maybe get out in the spiritual field and maybe lead your own business or maybe be a coach. I'd be like, you know how much that would light me up if I had no idea. If I had no idea that stuff existed, I wouldn't know that about myself. I just know that in this job, I'm miserable. And I've been here for 30 years. I'm just going to wait 8 more years and I can retire. Oh, please don't do that. Like, learn. Because once you get into alignment, things start lighting up. Your path starts, it's you getting out of those thick, heavy woods with your machete and all the poisonous creatures and getting on the sidewalk and starting to walk in the direction that you're supposed to go. Life gets exciting. Sometimes you look back and you're like, I don't even care. Because here's the thing. I've had 37 jobs. That's a lot of jobs. Some I only had for 2 days. The longest I had was 5 years. But I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Because as I see that word light up in all of these charts, and I stand back and I go, that is what I was supposed to do. And I tried it. I dabbled in it here and there, throughout these different careers. I'm like, this person's telling me how much I'm worth. And I'm like, I can't hardly even pay rent on that, let alone buy food or let alone live my life. And I wanted something more. And I always knew that, right? And I always kept trying. But I'm like, I look back and I go, I'm pretty much an entrepreneur my whole life. And here I am right now as a spiritual coach, a spiritual teacher, a woman who has a podcast. I coach, I teach, I speak. And I've never been happier. Now, am I making all of the money that I want to make? No, not yet. Am I reaching all of the people I want to reach? No, not yet. But I will tell you this, I'm on the path. I am on the path and I'm going and it feels amazing. That's what I want for you. So here's those tests again if you want to write them down. Meyers-Briggs, Meyers, Briggs, Briggs. And again, I'll put them in the show notes. Enneagram is the other one. Numerology, human design, and wealth dynamics. In wealth dynamics, if you're not an entrepreneur and you love your job and you're doing fine, you don't have to take that one, but definitely take the other ones. And again, it doesn't matter what your belief is. These are, numerology feels, horoscopes or whatever, but it's really, really, really interesting. And there's a really great app that you can get for the numerology you get for your Android or iPhone. And it gives you daily, you don't need to do any of this really, but it just gives you insight every single day. And it's really, really amazing. And you can get a ton of information for free for the sole purpose of getting to know yourself better. Now, once you get this information, you gather all this information, I would 100% love for you to share it with our group in Lady Rising. And if you're not part of our Facebook group in Lady Rising, come on over to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, come in, answer the question, say you're coming in through the podcast, and say, hey, you know what? I listened to number 449 about how to find your purpose, and here's my results. Because I would just love to have this conversation. I think it would be a lot of fun. Anyway, so once you get all that, now you have all this information and pull out the highlights and go, okay, oh, there's me. Yeah. Entrepreneur, leader, decisive, spiritual teacher, lover, learner, all these things that go in this little circle. And you see the picture of you. And then you go, now what? That's where take all of those pieces and go, what kind of life could I create from this combination of skills, talents, and interests? When you look at mine, and all of those things kind of get dumped into this big circle, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you should totally be a public speaker in the spiritual field. You should be a coach. You could be a counselor, and then you just start having this conversation. And you could have this conversation with us in the group. Here's all of my words that popped up. What do you guys think? And wouldn't that be fun to start to uncover and discover what your path and what your purpose is? You may never know until you start to really gain this insight of yourself. And I think that would be really, really fun. It's like you've uncovered the manual that makes up you and the GPS of where you should be going and the connection, the map about where you're headed and what you're supposed to be doing to finally find fulfillment. I hope this finds you well. And if you need any extra, if you want some help with this, if you want some direction, reach out either through the Lady Rising group or send me an email, the meditation room, tc@gmail.com. Wow, that may have felt like a lot of information in today's episode, but if you're looking for support and a deeper knowledge of what we talked about today, then let's connect. You can learn more about how I work and how you can work with me. Send me an email to the meditationroomtc@gmail.com, subject line, let's talk. And in the meantime, you can join my online Facebook community, Lady Rising, and mention that you came in through the podcast. I look forward to supporting you and connecting with you there.